JabroniTV presents A Honey Heist Hack by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor. Starring Ray as Bon Javert, Dom as Wallace Flynn, Kratrina as Anastasia Blake, and Andrew as the Game Master in the Machinations of Barren Wasteland. Hi everyone, welcome to JabroniTV. Today we are going to be sort of delving in to a little hack of Honey Heist known as I'm a Lover, Not a Fighter, or I'm a Fighter, Not a Lover. Please delete as appropriate. It's a hack of the Honey Heist game originally done by Grant Howitt. The hack itself is done by Grant Howitt and Chris Taylor. We are the Jabronis. I'll go around the table just so we can introduce ourselves. Basically, we'll be diving into this game, and we'll see how it goes. It should be an exciting game of excitement and romance and action and adventure and evil and good and hopefully everything that plays out over a mass ball. So let's go ahead and get started with our first guest.
Who's our first guest?
That would be you.
Oh, I am Ray. Hello. What do you need me to tell you? I'm normally streaming on Twitch, space games and whatnot. Are we doing characters yet?
We can do characters. Why not? Let's go with it.
All right.
We're doing it live.
Sure. I'm going to be playing a scandalous smuggler. What's his other thing? Rough and tumble is his other trait. His name is going to be Bon Javert. That's my name. I'm going to go with it just to bug you guys.
Perfect. Can't think of anything better. All right.
I start singing songs. Is that okay? Like, just start singing songs from Les Mis?
As long as it's under 5 seconds, I think we're clear. If you start singing too long, I'll just talk over you. So technically, it's fair use.
Maybe if it's incredibly inaccurate to the original, then it'll be fine.
So if I sang songs from Les Mis, we'd be fine. All right. Dom, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself next and your character?
In that case, I'm Dom, surprisingly. I do a lot of the admin stuff for JabroniTV, and occasionally I'm in things. Maybe, like this. We'll see how that goes in the future. I'm playing an ostentatious, bon vivant sword fighter called Wallace Flynn. At least that is the plan. We'll see.
Perfect. And our final guest, a special guest star.
Hey guys, I'm Kratrina. You can normally find me on HighShelfGaming, playing a lot of RPGs there. Today I am playing Anastasia Blake. She is an ostentatious acrobatic sword fighter.
Perfect. And I am Andrew, otherwise known as Nefarious Obituary. I am your master of ceremonies, the GM. I don't think it has a term for this particular hack, but we'll roll with it. I will be playing everybody else, specifically the evil Baron and all of the lovely NPCs you meet along the way. So the way this adventure will go, now that we've been introduced to everybody, let me just make sure I have everyone's stats down. And when I say stats, it's very much a low stats game. For those who aren't familiar, the way a Honey Heist hack works is that each character has 2 stats. In this case, the stats are Lover and Fighter. Each stat starts out at a 3. That is our sort of baseline that we operate from. And it gives us an equal chance of doing well in either ability. As you do, whenever you try to make a roll, you will be rolling a d6, a single d6 typically, and you will try to get under your stat number for whether it's a Lover roll, which would be, any sort of interaction, social behavior, versus a fighter roll, which will be any sort of action, combat behavior. If you roll under, you succeed. Yay, you accomplish what you're trying to do. If you roll over, you fail, and something bad probably happens. As with Honey Heist, the points will fluctuate. So if you do a successful roll, you'll move 1 point from fighter to lover, because as everything goes well, you're going to be able to talk your way out of situations. If you fail, you move 1 point from fighter or from lover to fighter, because as things go badly, it's more likely you're going to have to slice your way free. Finally, there are additional rules whereby whenever you want to move stats from one to another, you can voluntarily shift 1 point from fighter to lover by undertaking a romantic dalliance or suitably extravagant affair. So this would be any time you really want to just show off and be a flary person in the party. You can move a point to lover, and anytime you want to move a point from lover to fighter, you just have to brood handsomely on a balcony somewhere. So as long as you do that, you'll be fine. Of course, there are downsides to the stat movements. If you get 6 points in either stat, a bad thing is going to happen. And I think we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But just know that's what we're trying to avoid here. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in to our adventure. So, this is something we discussed earlier. Okay, so currently, Dom, you find yourself, Wallace Flynn, you are currently standing on a small balcony overlook in a library. There are 3 large fires going, one on either side of your balcony, and then an entire bookshelf is alight. You can see next to the bookshelf, tied back to back in chairs, sort of Indiana Jones style, are Bon Javert and Anastasia Blake. What do you do?
Oh, that's fun. Let's say, is there some form of curtaining nearby that I can dramatically slide down to?
There's absolutely a curtain. I have to warn you, the curtain is very close to the fire on your right, but it does hang over the balcony, so it would give you a way down, but there's some danger there.
Well, I mean, that makes it cooler when you slide down it, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, fully going for that immediately.
Fantastic.
Leaping off the balcony.
Okay, leaping off the balcony in order to make sure you make it safely there and you don't catch on fire on the way. Roll for fighter. So remember that you want to roll under your fighters.
Well, this is going well. I rolled a 6.
Okay, so you're going to move 1 point from lover to fighter. So on the plus side, your fighter score is a little bit higher now. You do leap off and you grab onto it, but as you grab onto it, the portion of it that was close to the flame has already burned through much more than you were expecting, and the whole thing just tears free and you tumble to the ground. You're sort of tangled up in it now. You can hear, just off, muffled beyond the curtain, the Baron's evil laughter as he departs from the room. Bon Javert and Anastasia Blake, you are both tied to chairs. What do you do? One of you can go first.
I'm going to do some sort of struggling action. Maybe try to wiggle my way free.
All right. So in that case, what you can do is roll. Let's say that's going to be a fighter roll, I think.
Okay, and it's just 1 die, right?
It'll be 1 die. That was one of the rules that I forgot to include, which is
okay.
if your, let me see, if your noteworthy feature would fit with what you're trying to do, then you can add an additional d6. So your noteworthy feature comes with a skill. So if you're scandalous, it's scandal. If you're bon vivant, it's carousing. If you're acrobatic, it's acrobatics. So you can add a d6 there. And if it would be something you're trying to do that would fall under your specialty, then you can also add a d6. So sword fighters, pistoliers, smugglers. So if you can explain to me how it overlaps, we'll add some extra d6s there to improve your chance of success.
I'm going to say, because I'm a smuggler, I'm used to this sort of situation of trying to escape from things.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
And good with ropes.
Okay, I got a 2, which is not over.
It's not over. That's fantastic. That is a success. You move a point from fighter to lover.
Okie dokie.
And, you struggle, but you've been here before. The number of times you've been in a room that's on fire and you've had to untie yourself it's 2, which is weird that it would happen twice.
Not again.
You do successfully slip out, and you free yourself there. Anastasia Blake, what is your action?
I begin to rock the chair back and forth, assuming that the chair is not very well put together, and I'm going to crash it to the floor to try and splinter it apart so that it will make a sharp thing that I can rub the rope against.
Oh, that's perfect. Absolutely. Roll for fighter. There's going to be a lot of fighter this round.
Can I argue for acrobatics? Because
I would say certainly yes, because you are doing something. You're doing something that's flexible and moving. That's very acrobatic. I will also give you an extra d6 because with Bon Javert slipping out of his bonds, it did loosen the ropes. So now it will make it easier for you to break free as well.
Is that 3d6 or?
That'll be 3d6.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, crud. I rolled wrong. I got a 3, a 1, and a 4.
Okay, perfect. Well, if you, let me think, believe it is hitting your number or under, because otherwise you would have a bad time succeeding. So in that case, you got a 3. Oh, you did say you got a 1 as well. So you very succeeded with the 1. You actually got 2 successes. There's nothing in the rule for 2 successes, so we're rolling with it. You turn the chair over, and as you lean, it's one of those not particularly well put together IKEA chairs, and so they don't break. The legs just all kind of fold and the back folds up, and so it just kind of slides out of the ropes, so you can just slip your way free without any danger whatsoever.
Fantastic.
All right. You can all see, now that you're all free and on the floor, Wallace, you do eventually wiggle out of the curtains, and you do see.
I don't get wrapped up and burned to death here.
Exactly. You slipped free. It prevented you from assisting your friends, but it still enabled you to get to where you needed to go. Despite the fact that it has been now probably 15 or 20 seconds of struggling for you to get out, the Baron is still slowly walking backwards, holding your good friend Cardinal Jacques Amicao, as he's still dragging him backwards, laughing through the doorway. But you do have a chance. You can see him there. I will say, I want everybody to roll a d6 for me. This will determine if the party TPKs.
6.
I'm just kidding.
6 again.
Oh no.
Where did you roll 6s?
I got a 2.
You got a 2. Okay, perfect. Well, this is a Honey Heist game, so low rolls go. So I will let Ray, I'll let you take an action here.
Okay, so the person's dragging away
Yes.
yeah. Okay, I'm going to. How far away am I?
I would say it is a decent-sized library, but you're probably only 20 feet away or so. It's up a little bit of a staircase, so you know it's one of those big, grand libraries, but it's up a staircase and going through a stone archway. There's no door in it. It's just...
I'm going to try and throw a book at him in the attempts to comically knock him out.
Perfect. Roll with fighter.
Okay. That's a 5.
That's a 5, so it's a fail.
Yes.
Okay, you throw the book, and it wings its way through the air. And as it passes by, the Baron just moves his evil head slightly to one side, and the book cascades into a like a rope that's sort of tied onto a hook on the wall. And you're pretty strong. This book, it was a hefty book. You were trying to knock somebody out, and the hook wiggles, and then under the tension of the rope, the hook just pulls out of the wall, and you hear a sort of rushing sound like a pulley, and the sound of getting closer. Wallace and Anastasia, you both look up. to see where the rope leads to, and you do see, at this point, a vastly heavy chandelier winging its way towards you, straight down. Before any of you can react, let's go back just like an hour or so to the start of the party, when you were all first arriving. I don't have any music, but imagine yourself walking down this sort of cobblestone street. You are all on your way towards the beautiful, beautiful city mansion castle. I would say it's a cosmopolitan castle of the wicked Baron Malfaisen's Wasteland. Now, you all have invites, which you have procured for various reasons. You're a bit of a ragtag bundle of friends, but you're all going there for one very particular reason. The Baron, you have very good intel. This is something Bon Javert would have picked up during his smuggling rings. The Baron has captured the good Cardinal Jacques Amical. He is your good friend. He's one of the good guys. You know, he's very much into giving to the poor. He donated all of his silver to the convict rehabilitation fund the other year. You know, he's a real good guy. And he's been missing for a little while. And the only reason that the Baron would have possibly captured him is because the Baron is an evil bastard. And so his goal is to make the poor of this country, the kingdom of faux français, suffer in the upcoming winter. So therefore, you are all on your way towards this really, it's an ostentatious castle, but not gaudy. It's like very sleek. The Gothic arches look somehow more modern than a Gothic arch. Everything's very smooth and shiny. Already, the party is in full swing. You can see the valets walking down the stairs and taking guests' carriages away to the parking lot behind the castle. The castle is emblazoned with its name across the front. It's the glamorous Le Château de la Discothèque. And the party's in full swing. There's people everywhere. The biggest hats you have seen in the whole world. You can hear the music coming through the front windows of the castle, just like it's honestly a hip and happening spot. The torches are flaring up. You are greeted at the front by a valet. However, because you're walking, he sees you don't have any horses and just kind of wanders off. But you have free entrance to the front hallway.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's going to be some form of like queuing going on. This is a big ball. It's going to be some form of people streaming inwards, right?
There is. It's a pretty steady. It's not more than a few, but there's certainly quite a few couples lined up on the velvet ropes trying to get in. You do see one man off to the side trying to argue that his brother is a valet here, and so he's totally allowed to come in. But it's a short queue, but you can definitely get in line if you want.
One other question: are they serving drinks to the queue? Because it's fancy ball, right? So
they are absolutely. The number of champagne glasses that are just out sitting on the street is kind of amazing. You did not know there were this many champagne glasses in the city, much less in one party. It's just people drinking constantly. There's rows and rows of champagne glasses just along the queue that keep getting refilled as people walk through and drink them.
Going to say is that I immediately go for that, and I'm going to blame my future incompetence on that, and will then basically I want to get an idea of how the people in the queue know the Baron, what their opinion of him is. Do they legitimately like him? Are they here because they popular? They want to be in the high social circles, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. In that case, yes, I will have you roll. Well, you want to get a positive reaction, so I'll have you roll with Lover. Let me see. And if you think, if you think any of your specialties, your features would help.
I will say, this is kind of carousing it that I'm immediately getting a drink in hand, going ahead and being sociable, sort of thing.
That's true. I will give you an extra d6 for carousing your way through this.
Also, point of order, change the stats in the future, which lowered my lover stat. Does that
That's
apply
true.
now?
Nope, that was a change purely in the future. So.
Okay, good. Well, it seems I'm not yet able to succeed at anything. I've rolled 2 5s, so this hasn't gone well.
So you're going to move one stat from lover to fighter, which is okay. We'll be good. We'll be good. The people, they generally talk to you. They're like, who's this guy? I presume you have a fancy hat. You are ostentatious.
Oh, absolutely. Giant, black, wide-brimmed, big red feather, kind of musketeer's hat style thing.
So they instantly recognize you as a rich dandy, and they're like, we'll have polite conversation. You don't get a whole lot. You don't hear much more than you would if you just picked up one of the street rags, which talks about all the rich and famous people of the kingdom. But generally, people don't seem to be there under duress. They seem to be there to have a good time, but you don't really learn any secrets. Interesting point of order. When you do communicate with them, there is one fellow waiting in line, just sort of off to the side, with a woman standing next to him, a woman in a beautiful ball gown, with a wide-brimmed hat, much like your own, but sort of golden with like lace around the edges, and it's just sort of tilted down over her face. And then the gentleman, when he sees you, calls the three of you over. And he just beckons you, kind of subtly, but also very not subtly. It's easy enough for the three of you to see.
Well, I in my fancy hat, which is far more fancy than anyone else's hat, large, it's gray, it has red trim, and the largest feather of this red burgundy color. And with like she also has a matching like overcoat and vest of the same sort of red color. And not quietly or subtle at all, walks over to this person that is calling them, so not subtly, and waits for her mates to join her, but also like sneaks a champagne flute just snakes one from someone else, like, this is mine now.
I also proceed over, but with 2 champagne flutes, one in each hand. And I am wearing a nice, clean top hat, dark color, probably like brown. And I'm wearing a military coat, but it's not mine. But nobody knows it. But for your sake. And yes, I proceed over with the
glamorous. So we have our heroic trio. Oops, sorry, Dom, you were going to say?
I was just going to say, seeing how ostentatious Anastasia is being, I just want to say that I've got like black cape red lining. Just going to make sure to kind of make sure that it blows in the wind a bit as I go, you know, just making sure there's some volume in that, make sure I'm making a statement.
Oh, absolutely. Every time somebody looks at you, they'll see you, and then the eyes will kind of glance over, and then the wind will just flick the cape a little bit, and it'll be like a flash of red, and their eyes will be drawn right back. There are several double takes as you walk by.
Billowing is the word I was going for. Billowing.
Anastasia glares at this cloak, upset that she did not think of it in first place.
Fantastic. All right, good. We already have inter-party conflict. So as you approach, the face underneath this, the man, you don't recognize him at first, but then as you get closer, you do recognize him. He has like spirit gum stuck to sort of make his nose look bigger, and he's like really bushy eyebrows stuck onto his face, and facial hair that you would know. This is L'Acu, your sort of contact inside the Secret Service of Faux Francais, who is one of your good friends, and also one of your sort of business partners in some cases. You can recognize him. And he said, greetings. I just wanted to let you know that we've been staking out the Baron for a good time now, and we know you're going after the Cardinal, and we wanted to give you as much help as we possibly could. Here, we've prepared a certain care package for you, just to ensure that you properly understood the severity of this nearly impossible mission. And he sort of leans over and fiddles with the cape of his female companion, and as he does, he zips, and then you see actually he sort of obscures her from the crowd, and you see the whole front portion of her torso opens up slightly, and he reaches in and he pulls out several documents from inside. Now that you're closer, you do see that underneath the bottom of the dress, there are just some casters that apparently this mannequin is on. He holds out to you a map of the palace, so you can see what the palace looks like. So it'll help you navigate your way around if you need to plan for anything. This is our roughest map that we could establish by sending in some of our youngest and most innocent-looking page boys to help gather information for any potential incursion that were to happen. We know that the Baron is a big fan of traps, and so therefore it's important that you be well aware. We can't be sure of what's in any of these rooms. We have to be the very most cautious. We believe that the Cardinal is being held somewhere on the second floor, but that being said, we can't be sure precisely where. I also have here an additional document. This one is a message that we received from one of our agents inside before they went quiet and we stopped receiving pigeons from them. This message plainly says that the Baron has planned for every eventuality. I'm not sure we'll be able to make it out of this one. If at all possible, avoid the library. And with that, when he finishes reading the message, there's a moment, and then the message catches fire, and he sort of drops it in the snow, and he has to put it out with his shoe. For security reasons, you understand. Good luck, agents. I trust that you'll successfully bring back the Cardinal and take down the wicked Baron Wasteland. We must step away so as to not be seen and potentially recognized, thus giving the game away. If you'll excuse me. And he puts his arm around the waist of his female companion, and then with sort of like a squeaky wheel sound, they carry off down the road and vanish into the crowd.
We're going to pointedly tip the hat to the both and be like, we're most grateful for the assistance.
You're welcome, young man.
Which parchment do you think they go through with every plan exploding like that?
Probably rolls and rolls of parchment, if I had to guess.
Probably too much. Maybe with the bad guys.
Nah, not possible.
With that, you can see the line has cleared by this point. Thankfully, the bouncer in question, a very strapping young man with big sideburns, was saving the place for you. So at this point, the line is now cleared, and you can proceed through with your invitations.
Strut our way in there as fancily as possible.
Like the three badasses that we are. Just.
Of course.
It's true. And the three of you do cut an exciting figure. Although the party is generally super fancy, amazing hats everywhere. I cannot stress enough how amazing the hats are at this party. You all do make a striking trio walking through. It's very clear you're the main characters of the story. And there's a moment of hush when you first enter, as the head valet announces your names, and then the party picks back up again. The music's thrumming in the next room. You can hear the harpsichord pounding away with the beat. And up, I will describe the entryway as you walk in. Off on your right-hand side, as you can see on the map as well, there is a vast ballroom. Lots of dancing is going on. There's currently a quadrille, but it is an exciting sort of modern-looking quadrille that's going on. There are tables everywhere, constant waiters moving back and forth. They all have the same uniform, the same sort of black doublet over top of red tights. Sort of the same, they have the same slightly evil looking get up going on as they deliver drinks around the table. You can see off to your left just seems to be a general dining area. There are some food tables set up. It's a buffet atmosphere, although waiters are moving canapes and various finger foods to all the guests throughout the room. And you can see in front of you, across this sparkling marble tiled floor, two staircases diverge and then meet up at a tall balcony at the back. And there, brooding on the balcony, can only be the Baron Wasteland himself. He's a tall man. He's probably 6.5 feet tall. He has a villainous handlebar mustache, little goatee, just a little one, just enough to come to a point. And his hair is just brown, just generically brown, but pulled back into a braid at the back of his head. He's wearing, he stands out because he's wearing incredibly ostentatious clothes, but the clothes themselves are very dark. Sharp lines, sharp edges, little spikes on the shoulder. He just generally looks kind of crafty and scheming, but he's overlooking the whole place. It wouldn't be this easy, but the Cardinal is nowhere to be seen.
I say loudly to my compatriots, but also to anyone else that can hear, a buffet, how gosh, just like our, the person that invited us all to this party.
People do hear you talking gossip, and that does draw some attention, but nobody's getting in on it too much yet.
I'll say, just as a thing, I'd like to see. So we've got lots of waiters going around serving drinks. I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Is it obvious where there'll be like casks of alcohol they're taking from, right?
Yes. The dining room has quite a few. The dining room has quite a few casks of alcohol out. Some of the wait staff are coming from doorways underneath the staircase, which, because there aren't a lot of guests there, because there's some velvet rope up, you assume that's maybe some, behind-the-scenes shit. But there are visible casks as well, because there's some that they're just trying to serve as quickly as possible. Also lots of bottles of wine, but the casks are the main highlight here.
Okay. Keeping that in mind for plans.
I will say, when you were handed the map, there were several lines drawn on the map, just sort of crisscrossing the whole map, just as a point of order. Most of them are red. There are a few blue and green lines, which seem to be tracing perhaps pathways, walkways, including one that seems to go directly through a wall in one of the upstairs rooms, which has been labeled the grand bedroom. But the red lines just seem to be crisscrossing at random. And there is no key there. But one of the blue lines carries up the stairs to the right and into the grand bedroom in that way.
Well, I assume I say to the to my friends here that I assume we're following this path, unless anyone has a better idea.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yes, let's continue with this. After a drink.
Yeah,
Or several.
of course.
And grab the nearest, whatever the nearest valet has, or waiter has, off of their tray.
It will be, you have your choice. There are 2 more champagne flutes, but then there is, I would say, 3 or 4 glasses with a very dark wine, probably a port.
Oh, the wine then.
Perfect. You snatch that port away from the waiter as he passes. He doesn't even notice. He's used to this sort of behavior.
I'm going to have one more go at talking to people, because if I do that too many times, it's going to go badly. But one more. I want to see if anyone knows about any particularly, just showpieces in the building, like anything that the Baron likes to show off. Anything particularly. No, I'm not going to go like, hey, is there anything expensive? Anything particularly fancy.
Expensive and portable.
Well, no, more that it might hurt him emotionally if I broke it.
Oh. That is a fantastic one. Okay. A roll, as always, you get your double 1 because you are currently in a carousing mood.
Well, I rolled 2 more 5s. Because I can't succeed at anything, it seems.
Oh, I will say, okay, you do. People seem to look at you oddly when you're asking these questions. Because you're here, surely you know all the Baron's most prized possessions. An older partygoer, sort of fabulously dressed in a grand hat, is drinking away, and they are drunk, and they will happily be, well, the Baron does have some portraits of himself that he keeps upstairs. I've heard there's something that he brings out for fancy parties like this. But he keeps that stored away from the guests' view and only brings it out at certain times. I don't even know where he brings it from. And then they sort of sleep to end the conversation.
It means I get away from that easily then. Well, yes, so I've raised suspicion but got information. This is going well.
I would like to find the most beautiful man or woman here to dance with, so that perhaps I can also get some information on the Baron and his secret doings.
Absolutely. Easy enough. Once you walk, whenever you walk into a room, there's always this moment where time slows down and you are able to pick out who the most beautiful person in that room is, because it seems like the whole world slows around them. So it's easy enough. You simply walk into the ballroom and you see this lovely woman off in the edges. She looks like a Renaissance painting, but she's off and sort of wistfully staring off while she drinks her champagne flute.
Oh, well, I'm going to walk up to her, and my lady, may I have this dance with you?
What? She says, and then turns suddenly as if she's turning away, but then turns back and follows you onto the ballroom floor. And you do proceed to dance. I think at this point it would be sort of some Regency era, out of place kind of tap thing. Anyways, people put their feet together and then dance around in a circle.
Fantastic. whenever we are dancing closer, I will try to ask a few questions about the Baron, or if she's heard anything about the Cardinal that has gone missing.
Oh, fantastic. This will be, I will say, because you're getting information, this will be roll with lovers.
Okay.
And if you can convince me on any of your stats, you can get an extra dice.
I don't think I'm not going to push for it because I don't think it fits. I rolled a 5, so I did not roll higher. Do I need to move a point though?
Will need to move a point to fight her. You try to sort of convey this information. She is too wistful. There is a tall, dark gentleman in the corner who makes 10,000 pounds a year who keeps drawing her attention by the way he's glaring about. And also, to be fair, the music outside, it was loud. Inside, there's just this one conductor up at the top going crazy with the flashing torchlights, and it's just, there's too much bass for your liking, and it's sort of drowning out most of your conversation. She shares some information. She has heard that the Cardinal was mentioned. She knows that the Cardinal certainly was not a friend of the Baron. The Baron was not a friend of the Cardinal. And they had their fallings out, mostly because the Baron liked to kick puppies, and the Cardinal was opposed to that on religious and moral reasons. But apart from that, she hasn't heard much. She heard about the Cardinal going missing. But it couldn't possibly be connected to the Baron, because why would the Baron do something so evil? Other than that, she doesn't give you a lot of information, and she quickly has to dash off because one of her sisters is taken up with an officer somewhere.
Just to prove that I can, after I'm finished with her, like, as so much, like, rubbish to throw away, I'm going to go dance with the man that was glaring at us.
You go up to dance with him. He is very reluctant at first. So I'm going to have you roll with lover.
I'm very charming about it. That is a 2.
Perfect. I was going to give you an extra dice anyways, because you were dancing with the woman who had caught his eye, but you succeed anyways, so that's good enough. He does reluctantly agree to dance with you. Throughout the course of the dancing, are you trying to get any information, or are you just dancing just to dance?
Oh no, this is just a spite dance.
Just a spite dance. Perfect. You have a lovely spite dance. He's a very good dancer, although he's very grumpy. You do manage to have some minor conversation. Most of it is you trying to find out about him and him besmirching your family as being too poor and low birthed and that sort of thing.
I don't have the quip in me right now, but there were quips.
There were absolutely quips. And a little bit of back and forth. And you feel like there was a connection made. A little bit of a mutual respect that could maybe turn into an unanticipated relationship later on down the line, closer to the end of the book. But he also has to depart because he has to financially talk to help get that lady's sister out of trouble with the officer. So he dashes off as well. But you got a really good spite dance. Because you succeeded, you get to move a point into lover from fighter. And you feel like maybe you ingratiated yourself with the party a little bit more. Feels like, you know, some people probably saw that and were impressed, certainly by the ability to walk and dance at the same time, and talk and dance, I should say. You can also walk and dance. That's one of your other skills that you demonstrated, because most of the dancing is walking just around. But it was a success. You feel good about yourself, if nothing else. Although slightly infuriated by that man and his coarse manners, but still.
Too many quips from the man.
Quips on the dance floor.
This time, while these two are doing things, I'm just observing the party from the side. Just watching any goings on that might be notable.
Okay, that is an interesting one. Are you, if you're observing...
It doesn't have to be any mechanical benefit. That's just what my character is doing.
Oh, you're just observing. Okay. In that case, you will, since you are actively paying attention, I will say without having to roll, you see several goings on. You see the conversations between Wallace and the party guest. You see the 2 dances that Anastasia takes part in. You do see people storming out in a huff. You saw a lot of the quips. Honestly, it was impressive. It was pretty much a verbal duel going on there. You also see a sort of bodyguard, attendant-looking figure leave the doorway, which you know to be the grand bedroom, and pass towards the Baron, speak briefly to him, and then he and the Baron walk off in a different direction. They walk off down the hallway. So therefore, the upper balcony is now clear. You see a few guests wandering up and down the staircase, but not a lot. Most of the party is down here on the ground floor.
Okay. Good to know. Once everybody returns from their quips and verbal duels and map reading, I'm going to point out that the balcony seems to be clear now if we want to take a stroll in that direction.
Andy, you'll have to tell me if this is a valid thing to do. But as an attempt to be suitably extravagant to potentially stave off my character's death, what I would like to do at some point is find a suitably high place in the main room. Maybe open
like a balcony?
A balcony, not the one we're going for.
Okay.
I'm potentially going to do this while you two go there and then catch up immediately after. Going to get a chair, going to put the chair there, open a door so there's a breeze, foot on the chair, tap on my glass, just like a toast to the Baron. Hasn't he brought such good economic growth? Hasn't he quelled those uprisings so forcefully? To the Baron. And see if I can maybe get some social favor back and maybe a shift point.
Absolutely. I will say yes. You undertake that beautifully. There is a breeze. Your cape is billowing. That red lining, it's perfection. You stand there, a toast to the Baron. You catch it at just the right time, just as the song's ending, and your voice just carries across. You can absolutely move a point from fighter back into lover for that. Everyone toasts along with you to the Baron, to the Baron, to the Baron. And they all drink, and there's a little round of applause, and someone definitely shouts, "I love you!" out in the crowd.
I love you too, random citizen.
Hey, bird!
Do a backflip! But yes, you feel like you're winging your way back into the social graces of the party already. So while that is ongoing, yes, Anastasia and Bon Javert, you have your free reign to feel free to go about what you are planning on doing.
Well, if we are going upstairs, then I am going to, with a flourish, perhaps vault over the railway, railing, and over the stairs, just jauntily, and then just walk up the stairs, just fabulously.
It is
a little bit of
there,
show.
There's a railway because there's a little model steam train that carries drinks around.
Railing.
So you do vault over both the railing and the railway.
Yes. It's what I wanted. The entire time, it's what I wanted.
Absolutely. And you wind your way up the stairs glamorously. It's very ostentatious. I will say, just from the general vaulting and performance, if you want, you can move a point into lover, but don't feel like you have to. Because that was such a vigorous display of fabulousness.
I'll move a point, sure.
But you do successfully make your way up to the top of the staircase. The hallway, very plush carpeting. lots of doors. You can see down in the direction where the Baron went. Well, Bon Javert would know this. In the direction the Baron went, there's some doorways down that way. One big ornate wooden door, double door with some carved relief faces on it. In the other direction is the grand bedroom where the attendant came out of, and also where the blue line leads on your map.
Yeah, that is where I wanted to check out.
Okay. You approach it without issue. There are some guests, like I said, wandering back and forth. There seem to be some guest rooms here, perhaps. You know the Baron has quite a big art collection, and some of it is out for display, so these guests are probably walking forth between some of the display rooms. And you're able to walk up. The door itself seems to be perhaps locked. If you try the handle, you would find out for certain, but it is certainly firmly closed.
Do I have the ability to pick the lock?
You are a smuggler. Is that the sort of thing you would have brought with you for a party?
Probably, if I knew I had to. Yes.
I think that's fair. Yeah, absolutely. You can take a shot at picking the lock.
Okay, what am I rolling?
That will be... Let's make that a fighter roll, because you're kind of using your skills rather than your wants.
I got a 3.
You got a 3. What was your fighter score?
3.
3. Perfect. That's success. You do it casually. You casually pick the lock. You don't think anybody noticed. To be fair, there was really nobody here to watch. They were all too busy in their own reveling. And so you do pick the lock, and you hear the, just inside, click of the lock go, and you know that the door is now open and available for entrance.
I'll slowly enter the room.
All right. Inside, the grand bedroom lives up to its name. There's an enormous stone fireplace with a fire going. There's an enormous four-poster bed with a canopy over top of it. The canopy is vaguely translucent. You can see through it, even though it's currently closed. You don't see anything in there at the moment. There is a very small bookshelf off to one side, chair, reading table, and there is a vast tapestry. I think it's fair to say it's more of a tapestry than an art piece, but it does depict the Baron. It's essentially a big, it's essentially those get your face printed on a blanket kind of deals, but it's hanging up on the wall.
Okay. So there's the tapestry. There's nobody in the bed, right?
There's not that you can see. It's the curtains are translucent, but
I'll take a peek anyway.
Okay. You look in. It's a glamorous bed. Looks well made, but it also looks a little tousled. So it's like a made bed that maybe somebody was laying on top of.
Okay.
But it is currently unoccupied.
Okay. I definitely have a drink in my hand, and I'm going to pour it on the tapestry to besmirch his image. Just because this is
absolutely
ridiculous.
Okay, make a roll with fight. I'm just kidding. No, you're good. You easily pour. This is something you're good at. Although, you know, your smuggler's eye tells you that this tapestry, although well loved, is probably not very well made. And
that's why I'm not stealing it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's definitely not worth stealing, but also it means that it takes really well to wine stains. And in fact, just the mere presence of liquid seems to cause the warp and weft to twist underneath the constant barrage of droplets. By this point, you're both inside the grand bedroom. By this point, Wallace, you will have joined, successfully earning back some favor there. But now you're all situated in the grand bedroom. I would like each of you to roll a d6 for me.
One.
6.
6.
5.
Damn.
She's like on a game where you don't want to roll high. Like, come on.
Yeah. This one is not a success or fail roll, so nobody has to move any points. This is more of a perceiving check. So, Anastasia, you do notice that the tapestry wall, well, Bon Javert is over there. If you sort of move the chair over and standing up and just dripping wine down the whole tapestry, you do notice that the tapestry is on the wall where the blue line passed through on the map.
Fantastic. As Bon Javert is finishing pouring all of that on the tapestry, I will rip it down and throw it on the bedding, so that the bedding will now also be stained with this dark port. And then I will look for a secret entrance or a lever or something here.
Absolutely. So you successfully, no trouble at all. The tapestry just tears off. The edges is all frayed now. It's now on the bed. There's port everywhere. It dragged across the carpet, so there's like port on the carpet too. And
Fabulous.
It's on the wood, and it's just going to stain the wood. And you can already see like just little numbers popping up in your eyes of how much all the repair work is going to cost. But behind, it's very smooth, which strikes you as odd considering that the walls are paneled. So this one is a very smoothly paneled wall. I will say roll with... I'm just going to have you do a straight roll to try to find any secret levers or anything. 2. Perfect. That's a success. For the audience at home, every so often, whenever I'm having them roll straight rolls, which I may modify with additional dice depending on the circumstances, this is not a Honey Heist thing. This is me just getting them to roll under 3 to succeed on random things that aren't really covered by Lover and Fighter. Or if you're if you're Wallace and you're like doing something and it's not a fighter stat, but I don't want to punish you by making you roll under Lover, just to make it fair. So that's a success. You do feel around. Honestly, it does not take you long. Lovely scrolling on the paneling. It's like ivy, so it's easy enough to find in one spot where one of the ivy leaves just click depresses into the wall, and when it does so, the wall panel tilts out slightly, giving you enough room to open it fully into a cold stone unlit passageway.
Well, gents,
Let us go.
I steal a candelabra and light it with the matches that are nearby.
Yes.
So that we have light to continue down this dark
It's really
corridor.
strange. This room has so many candelabras and so many matches nearby. In fact, you do notice, actually, when you go ahead to throw the thing on the bed, you do notice areas where there's like wax strips, like a lot of wax strips near the bed, and lots of matches, and candles that are burnt down quite a bit.
Okay.
It's just interesting. It's an interesting fact. But you carry on through the passageway. You wind your way down. It's very Phantom of the Opera starring Gerard Butler kind of passageway. Dark, cobwebby, cold. But you wander down with your candelabra, illuminating the way.
As we leave the room, I'm just going to take a moment to look back, because I got there late, see the destruction that my friends have caused, and just be satisfied that the Baron's bedroom has been ruined. That's it. I just want to take a look and be like, nice.
You feel inspired. Whether that has a statistical benefit, we shall see in the future. And then you carry on down the walkway.
Well, I do now know that the bed is even more flammable than it was before because it's covered in alcohol, and I'll keep that in mind. For if we come this way on the way out.
That is a fair point. You do pass along. You're walking down this hallway. It's a narrow passageway. It's very much meant to be something that just sort of fits between two walls. It's cold. There are cobwebs, but it's fairly recently traversed. You can clearly see on the ground areas where, like, things have been dragged through the dust back and forth. But you carry on. You know that this, the room on the other edge is not labeled, but it is also one of the rooms that's very much in the back of the second floor, away from the rest of the guests. So you're able to carry on through. It's not long. It's only a few moments before you reach the other end of the hallway. And from there, you do see a second doorway through which you can pass. Paneled much like the first, but in a slightly different style, perhaps to match a slightly different style of room. And I will have you all, before we go through, roll a d6 for me as a perception check.
I got a 6.
6
I
or
Got a
5.
1.
A
Yay!
1! That's fantastic. All right, so it's a little hard to hear through the paneling, especially with downstairs. They've moved on to a slightly different music, so it's like a jig, but like remixed. Going on downstairs, so it's a little hard for Bon Javert and Anastasia to hear. But Wallace, this is your jam. You hold the glass up to your ear. It's a champagne flute. I don't know if this is how it works, but you hold the champagne flute up to you, and you hear. You do hear a muffled voice, and then you hear what sounds like 2 people talking, and then 2 sets of footsteps leaving, and then a door closing, and you still hear the muffled voice coming through. But you can see in front of you, there's the little lever that opens the door. Also, interesting point, you see a string strung up along this. It's an unusual string that's just strung up along this hallway as well. Just as an interesting fact, just because you rolled a 1.
Is that string such that we would be able to just, like, limbo under it or step over it?
Oh, yeah, no. It's honestly, it just runs mostly along the edge of the hallway. It's just sort of draping a little over in front of the doorway, but not like a tripwire. Just kind of like strung along the hallway. It's very odd.
Okay, keep that in mind. So I'll have my champagne flute to the door, which is a point because I've got the musketeer's hat. One side goes up, so you can still do it with a massive hat. I'll just be like,
Quite right.
while I'm listening for people to leave. And then you say it's just a lever to open the door, right? Like this,
just a lever. Yep. You just reach out, and it's very, very small. It's not hidden at all. You just click, and it will. You would have seen one on the other door as well.
Okay.
Just as you walk through.
Well, then just make sure wait long enough that it's coast clear and enter the room.
Absolutely. As you enter the room, it is a kind of dank office. Like, it's very dark. There's just one candle there. Okay, I tell a lie. There are, dozens and dozens of candles in this room, but only one of them is lit. And it's by the door. You actually do see the trail. This seems to be a disused office because there's quite a bit of dust on the floor and some sheet-covered furniture and things. And just facing away from this passageway is what looks like a figure seated in a chair. As Anastasia comes into the room, it does light it up a little bit more, and the figure does appear to be bowed.
I start to light other candles. Like, let's get full illumination in this
Okay.
room, preferably so it will burn stuff later if left unattended.
Fantastic. There are, you successfully light several candles. The light picks up drastically, much more than it should with candlelight, but hey, that's the way movie magic works. And now you can clearly see the figure is seated away, sort of in a chair facing the wall. They are moving, but they are well bound, and they have a hood over their head.
Does this look, just from the sort of stature of the person, like it could be the cardinal?
You can't tell. Their clothes are very ragged. They have like a heavy, like almost leathery cloak thrown over them, and then the hood's covering them. So you can't quite tell. It seems to be, average size and shape, not unlike the cardinal. But it's difficult to tell.
Let's get that hood off.
Can we take the hood off with the tip of my rapier? Just because that's fancy.
Absolutely. I will say you're being dramatic, and you sort of whip out your rapier and use it to lift the hood off. Because you're doing this overly dramatic, feel free to move a point from fighter to lover if you so desire.
Be a good idea. I'm sure I'll get some fighter points against it.
Okay, so you lift that. You lift the hood off of their head, and it falls to the floor, sort of just at their side. You can now see, as you bring the candles around to see their face, this is not the cardinal. It's someone else. It's a dashing gentleman. He has a very finely cut jawline. He's currently in the midst, you can see, of trying to struggle out of his bonds, but he is well tied up. And he is also gagged, hence the muffled voice from earlier.
And we have no idea who this is?
You don't recognize him.
I'm going to posit that the Baron tied him up, probably. So, therefore, I'm against him being tied up.
Sure.
So let's at least take the gag off first and see who he is.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, but you take the gag off. Thank you so much. I was captured and being held here by the Baron. I was sent here in order to stop the Baron from his evil deeds, but unfortunately he got the drop on me. I'm Agent 007 with the Faux Francais Secret Agency, and I can't thank you enough for your assistance. You must hurry, though. The Baron has plans to publicly, brutally murder the Cardinal in just under 45 minutes.
You know what time it is down here?
Yes, I am very good at keeping time. I have a magic pocket watch, which also turns into a carriage when I need it to. Unfortunately, it couldn't help me in this circumstance because the room was too small for the carriage.
All right.
But you must hurry. I can get myself out of these bonds if you give me another 45 minutes. But you must hurry. The Baron is taking the Cardinal to another room in the second floor. I believe he said he was going to the library.
Not the library.
Did he give any other words about his horrendous deeds and his horrendous plan to you as he kept you tied up here?
He did say that he did not expect me to escape, but he did expect me to perish. Again, I can't warn you enough. The Baron has this place trapped to high heaven, and I know for a fact that the Baron will not let you get away with this if you are successful. So be wary.
I'm going to remove the rope for him.
Oh, thank you.
No, he's.
I'm just going to assure him that nothing can go wrong. We succeed at everything we do. It's going to be fine.
In that case, I must escape in order to debrief with my handlers. And with that, he leaps through the window.
Always a good leap. Oh,
Was there any sound after he leapt out the window?
There was, but it was, he leapt out of the window and landed on some of the band members who were taking a break around the back, and so you just kind of hear the trumpeter just go, doo-doo, as he dashes off into the night.
Great. So should we head back up the secret tunnel that we took here?
or if we're further back in the house, then we could just exit the hallway here. And,
Okay. Sure.
Certainly. You certainly can. The door does not appear to be locked from where you are, because you can see the lock on the inside of the door.
Is the door trapped?
Oh, you can certainly check for traps. I will have you roll a d6.
2.
Ooh, perfect. That is a success in your perception roll. The door, there is a very small trap. You can see that there is a small string over the door, and when the door is opened without disconnecting the string first, it pulls on you see a pistol set up on just alongside the door. So it will be firing through the door at whoever opened it if they didn't disconnect the string first.
Foolish Baron, and I will disconnect the string so very easily.
It's so very easily. You disconnect the string, the trap is now functionally ruined, and you're able to open the door.
Can we take the pistol?
Absolutely, you can take the pistol.
Excellent.
You now have a pistol with one shot already loaded.
Seems like it might be useful at some point.
Gentlemen, do we go quiet or with a flourish?
With a flourish?
Flourish, obviously.
Yeah.
Then I throw the door open into the hallway.
You throw the door open. The door swings outward because the hallway is carpeted, and the carpet seems to be newer. It's very plush, so the door kind of catches on the carpet a little bit, but you nudge it the rest of the way open, and the hallway is empty. You can see, based on your map, you know you are just a few doors down. You're actually now on the other side, the direction where the Baron would have walked to. And you can see, if you poke your head around the corner, you can see the Baron is back standing at the balcony. He's not looking at the hallway, so you're here and coming around the corner here, because your room was here, and the Baron is over here on the balcony area. In between the two, this big double door, this is the ostentatious double doors with the faces in relief, the face carvings, that's the one marked as the library.
We were warned not to go to the library, but I feel that we are risk takers.
I feel a little hubris. I mean, is there anything to do before we go to the library? And that's more of a me. I had a slight lapse of concentration. It was sorry. Was there anything worth exploring before we go to the library? That's to everyone and to Andy, because sorry, I blanked a bit.
No worries. In general, the impression that you have is that the library is where the cardinal is being held. The library is also a place of immense danger. Interesting side note, quite a few of the red lines that you saw crisscrossing on your map converge in the library itself.
That seems like we're going there. And I grab one last drink from a waiter nearby.
There is one waiter who's just been quietly off in that back hallway, and he's so lonely, and he's just been filling glasses from his one bottle, like the whole night, and he's just surrounded by glasses, and he looks really sad. But you take a drink from him, which makes him happy. His purpose has been fulfilled.
And in that case, I take a second one.
He's ecstatic, and he retires a happy man.
Good.
I'll see him walking away, retiring a happy man, and be like, oh, because I was also going to take one, but that's okay. And then carry on.
He retires without knowing how successful he could have been. So, you can see you're all positioned at that corner now. The Baron's not looking in your direction, but the doorway is about halfway between you and the Baron.
Andy, as we go, I would like to open other doors.
Absolutely.
Just in case we need to Scooby-Doo our way between hallways and rooms later. I just want the doors open.
Absolutely. You do open the doors. Most of them are not locked. There are a handful that do seem to be locked.
I ignore those.
Yes. But they tend to be small doors. Honestly, they look like cupboards and things. So they're probably just locked to keep the cleaners safe or whatever. Most of them are just bedrooms or the occasional sitting room. There's a room that has a beautiful harpsichord in it and a great big fireplace. All the fireplaces are lit for some reason, but this Baron doesn't care about ecologically sound housing practices. So yes, you successfully open all the doors without any issue. It makes it interesting. You have to open the doors all the way because for whatever reason, all the doors in this hallway open outwards. So you have to open them all the way, otherwise they cause trouble in the hallway as people try to walk down.
Makes sense.
But with that, yes, you are now just around the corner from the library, and the Baron does seem to be distracted with some party business at this point. Are you all going to try to sneak to the library?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, actually, I'll do it in a bit. Yes.
Okay. Everybody roll with... I'll give you two options. If you're going to try to stealth, you can roll with fighter, so sort of sneak along. If you're just going to try to casually blend in to sneak down the hallway, I'll let you roll with lover. So roll with your choice.
I'll casually blend in. I got a 4, and I'm at a 4.
Okay.
Say that it would be a betrayal of myself to try and casually blend in a social situation. So I try and stealth, but then I rolled badly for it anyway. So I'm not very good at that. I got a 5 again.
I got a 6 on trying to stealth.
Okay.
This is doing well.
Do I move a point from lover to fighter?
Because you succeeded, you would move a point from fighter to lover.
Oh, that's not good.
Thank you.
Don't worry, if you find a balcony, you can brood.
Maybe I did that the wrong way. Okay.
No, that's okay. Whenever you succeed, you move a point to lover, and whenever you fail, you move a point to fighter. So it doesn't really matter what skill you're trying to use.
Gotcha.
Honey Heist is fantastic, but a little confusing at first. All right, so you do sneak your way down. Anastasia, you sneak your way down there first, and you are able to open the door, and you are just slipping through the door when Wallace knocks over a vase, and Bon Javert trips on Wallace knocking over the vase.
Fabulous.
The Baron turns to the three of you because you don't quite slip through the door before he sees you. He's like, "Excuse me, please don't go in there. That's my private library, and it's not available for guests."
I keep moving.
We're not guests, we're inspectors.
Library inspectors?
Indeed.
For library inspectors, I was not expecting you to inspect my library.
That's when we arrive, when we're least expected.
I will have you roll with lovers.
Nobody expects the library inspections.
Can this be considered scandalous?
I will. Okay, here's what I will say. I won't give you scandalous because I feel like there's not quite a scandal going on with this, unless you are. How loudly are you saying your library inspectors?
Very loudly.
Very loud. I will give you 1d6 for scandalous because the library inspectors would be a scandalous circumstance to happen. Everybody knows if your library inspectors are showing up, bad things are about to happen. You better have hidden Lady Chatterley's lover before this. I will also give you an additional d6 for smuggler because you are sort of engaging in a sneaking enterprise.
Okay. I got a 2, and my stat is a 3.
2 and perfect. Did you get any other successes?
I did get another success, so 2 successes technically.
Okay, 2 successes. Perfect. In that case, you will move a point to lover from fighter.
Okay.
And you will actually see the Baron looks a little concerned. He seems to have bought your ruse of being libraries. Well, before you go into the library, can I get you a drink?
Of course. Brandy, please.
And he fully turns around towards the waiter behind him and is just sort of hissing at him, you assume, to bring you brandy. But he is currently distracted.
While he... Oh, sorry, did you even go, Tink?
No, I'm distracting him, so...
So, while that's happening, as soon as I enter the library, to the side, I happen to see a balcony that overlooks an inner courtyard. And I momentarily go out there to just look at the stars, brood a moment.
It's true. You stand on the balcony next to you're standing on this dark, rustic, Gothic balcony. You can see a torch hanging on the balcony, 2 torches hanging on the balcony behind you in sort of precarious positions. You can see the chandelier in front of you kind of casting dark shadows all over the library. For a moment, standing there on the balcony overlooking the bookshelves, you almost feel like you're perched on a tall building overlooking these Gothic buildings casting shadows underneath you and the dark city that you are sworn to protect. You brood, successfully moving a point from lover into fighter. You're just standing there next to this curtain-covered shape on the balcony next to you, just brooding away. I will say, Bon Javert's distraction is good enough. It's keeping the Baron a little busy getting drinks. Wallace Flynn, if you want, you can try to sneak in while the Baron's back into turn, or you can wait out in the hallway.
Seeing as I didn't actually claim to also be a library inspector, I just kind of was a little ashamed at doing that and silent. I will do that. But just before I do, because I have a pistol, I'm just going to be very tempted to shoot the Baron. I'm not going to, because it wouldn't be meaningful enough to just shoot him in the back from afar. But I'm just going to take a moment and just be tempted. I think better of it and move on and go and try and sneak into the library.
You put your hand inside your coat to where we all saw you put the pistol before. And then there's the moment, and you see it, but and nobody else sees. Just a little montage of scenes of happy family faces, and then you remove your hand and then walk inside the library.
Yeah.
Bon Javert, with that, the Baron turns around and is bringing you the brandy.
Oh, great. Now,
Yeah.
shall we take a look at your books?
Yes, let's do that. And he walks through the doorway. Wallace, you've already slipped inside. I will give you a chance to choose which direction you go. There's enough time for you to slip wherever you want. You are standing at the top of a short staircase going down into the library proper. Like Kratrina said, it's a courtyard sort of thing. There are balconies on either side. It's inside, but it feels like the way a courtyard would be situated. Lots of shelves in the middle, lots of sort of twisting maze-like shelves. You can see Anastasia on one balcony, brooding, surrounded by torches. But yes, you have your choice. No.
Right, yes. My main priority, because the Baron has now seen me and making a bit of a fool of myself, I am going to attempt to find the most sort of secluded part of the libraries, so that, because I know the Baron is coming in, because that was the plan. They were going to go inspect, or at least it's a danger. I'm going to make sure that I'm out of sight when that happens. So
Okay.
the library of of interest, of course, but my main priority is not being seen in the library when the Baron enters.
Perfect. You easily slip into the bookcases without being noticed, and the Baron walks in with Bon Javert just a moment later. As you can see, all the books are perfectly accurate and legal. Let's go now.
Just a minute. I'm going to have to, do a count. You can return to your socializing duties if you wish. I will not just be a moment.
I would rather stay here, thank you. Excuse me, please. And he turns to where he sees Anastasia. Please come away from that balcony.
Yes, Baron, I shall. And I come out and I draw my rapier.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. See,
I already have.
That is a fair point. But I think you will soon regret it. And he reaches into his coat and he pulls out a flintlock pistol. And as he does, he says, so as to not worry the guests, and he pulls out a silencer which he screws onto the end of his flintlock pistol. And he levels it at you. And he says, don't move any further if you want to live.
Except now the camera pans out a bit, and I'm behind him with my rapier in hand. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Baron.
You seem to have me banged to rights. And he
Indeed.
slowly sets his silenced flintlock down on the ground.
And I kick it away.
He steps away towards the railing of the staircase.
Where's the cardinal, Baron?
The cardinal? The cardinal is there on that balcony. And he sort of gestures with his head towards the shape, the curtain-covered shape.
Is anyone near the shape?
If I can sneak my way over there, unseen, I'll try and get to the cardinal.
Okay. It's not, the Baron is distracted, so it's only semi-unseen, but you're more than able to get onto the balcony.
I'm presuming the cardinal is bound on the balcony and cannot in some way.
It's a shape under a curtain, so yes.
Yes, I'm going to dramatically cut the curtain above the shape, obviously, and to reveal the cardinal, I'm assuming.
You do
because,
cut the curtain. Exactly. You cut the curtain, and as you do, it only half cuts, so it sort of flows back against the wall, rattling one of the torches a little bit as it swings by. And underneath, you don't see the cardinal. You see a scarecrow type shape underneath underneath the shape. It's not the cardinal at all. With that, I need Bon Javert and Anastasia to both roll with fighter. I will give Anastasia an extra d6 for being acrobatic.
I got a 2, I got a 3, and then I got a 2, and 2 is what I got.
I got a 5, so not good.
Perfect. Okay, so as you are standing there holding the Baron up against the balcony, the railing on the staircase, Bon Javert, he whips around with his cape, and you see that his cape is actually weighted on the ends, and he knocks your sword out of your hand, and he tries to do the same to Anastasia, but you manage to leap backwards, narrowly avoiding it, and with that he leans behind himself and he lifts one of the edges of the railing and presses there's not a button there, so he pulls the string, and it causes ropes to drop from the ceiling, like rope nets to drop from the ceiling. You still have your sword, but the nets fall on both you and Bon Javert.
I struggle and just make it worse. I try to struggle free.
You tried.
But make it worse for myself.
Make it worse. You deliberately make it worse for yourself for the drama.
Of course.
So, with that, the bodyguard bursts in, and the Baron is now holding a pistol aimed right at Wallace, while the bodyguard is tying the two of you up to a chair, 2 chairs in the center of the library. So you thought you could get away with it. You thought you could sneak in and rescue your friend, the Cardinal. Well, this whole time, and he walks over to the other balcony, where a much less obvious shape covered in curtains. He rips the curtain away to reveal the Cardinal, all tied up. Cardinal Jacques, your good friend. And he picks him up and he pulls him backwards towards him, holding the silenced flintlock to the Cardinal. You thought you could defeat me. I am the Baron Malfeasant's Wasteland. I cannot be stopped for any reason. I will say, Wallace, you do get a chance to act. He is pointing a pistol at the Cardinal's head.
So my plan, because I have a pistol, which you said had 1 shot in it, and for dramatic license, should we say it has precisely 1 shot?
It has precisely 1 shot in it.
Yes, I would like to try and shoot his gun.
Okay. Go ahead and shoot the gun.
Is this a roll, or is it dramatic enough? Yeah,
I will say...
This is a fighter roll?
I will say yes, this will be a fighter roll.
Right.
You got this.
I do not got this. I rolled a 6.
You do fire off. The shot goes wide and actually ricochets off of the one of the shields hanging up on the wall. The Baron has to duck, so he's pulling the Cardinal back. But the bullet ricochets and makes contact with not one, but both of the torches behind you on the balcony, causing them to fall. One ignites portion of the carpet before rolling and igniting one of the bookshelves right next to your friends who are tied up in the chair, and the other one ignites the balcony and also the curtain right next to you that's hanging down to the floor of the library. So at this point you might recognize where you are, and we're going to fast forward montage style through it. The Baron is dragging the Cardinal backwards through the doorway as Wallace Flynn daringly leaps off but tears the curtain off of the wall as he goes, tumbling to the floor. Thankfully, Bon Javert has his mad skills in tow and is able to slip out, and Wallace Flynn wiggles out after collapsing the chair. Unfortunately, the book that Bon Javert throws causes the enormous chandelier to come crashing down towards you. And now everyone has a moment to react. I'd like everyone to roll a d6.
I roll away in a flourish using my
Yes.
acrobatic skills.
Absolutely.
You
can roll with an extra. Roll the 3, okay. 2.
I rolled the 4.
Yeah, 2 is
rolled a 4.
my fighter.
Yes, I will say this was actually just going to be a 3 or under roll. No, you're good. So I'm not going to take or add points away, add or subtract points away from anything. You two do successfully leap away. Bon Javert. It's an entirely different person. Stumbles away, but luckily the two of you grab him under the arms and you're both able to dive free of the chandelier as it falls. You can see the Baron is panicked now and is fleeing with the Cardinal, dragging the Cardinal behind him back towards the main portion of the party.
I give chase, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I pick up my rapier from where it was dropped before, barely under the chandelier, and make chase.
Perfect. Just a little shing as you draw the rapier out. You do give chase. You manage to catch up because the Baron is dragging the Cardinal behind him. Catch up with the Baron on the balcony overlooking the grand party. The guests are sort of frozen, unsure what's going on as the Baron is standing there, holding the Cardinal. And he still has his gun. He has not fired his flintlock yet. And holding it to the Cardinal's head. This is what happens when you try to stop the barren wasteland. You cannot help the poor. You cannot help the needy. That is abhorrent to me. Blah. Disgusting. Charity. I hate it. Evil monologue, evil monologue, evil monologue.
I'm assuming we sort of dramatically enter.
You do.
At this point, yes. And to be like, see this man who rules you. See who this man is at the party. Because we're getting them on our side, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rise up against the Baron.
The Baron's guards are at this point starting to close in on the crowd, and you can hear some screams of terror as everyone's realizing what's happening. And then the Baron turns to you all and says, "You think you will get away with this? Not so fast. For you see," and he reaches into his pocket, and you hadn't noticed this before, but everywhere the Baron went, there was this string that he had carrying around with him. And he pulls it out, and he holds it in the one hand that's also holding the Cardinal. And with his other hand, he puts his pistol, sets his pistol on the ground, and he pulls out a match. He says, "This whole building is wired to blow. Not only can you not save the Cardinal, but you cannot even save yourselves." And he goes to strike the match.
Where's the string connected to?
It's connected. You recognize it as the string that was going down that hallway.
Is there one string coming from?
It seems now that it was a fuse, and he has just one string. But you can see now, as you follow the string, you follow it up, and then it splits into lots of other strings, and it seems to be strategically positioned all over the castle. Now that you see it, it does look strangely like all the red crisscrossing lines that you saw on the map. Would have been helpful to have a map key.
Is there one point where I could just cut it off before?
Yes, right next to the Baron.
Okay.
I would like to tumble forward towards where he just dropped the gun, and try to recover it, and then from like just this crouching, just shoot up at him.
Absolutely. Roll with fighter.
Can I roll with 2d6?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I got a 1. I got a 1 on the second roll.
All right, you successfully roll, and you do recover the gun. You don't get the shot off yet, but you recover the gun. Dom and Ray, you both get a chance to take an action.
I think I'm going to double down on my throwing tactics and use my hat which is a top hat, and try to sling it in his direction, at least to stop the match, if not
to cut the rope.
Yeah,
You're going to
sure.
cut the string with your razor-bladed top hat.
Yeah.
Get it.
All right.
Get it.
You will be rolling with fighter. I will say because this is an item that you had, roll with an extra d6.
Great.
Because you're sort of using a tool that you've been carrying with you this whole time.
Oh my god. I got 2 3s, which is, I think, what I have. Yeah.
2, 3, so another success. All right. So your top hat, you throw your top hat with practice accuracy as it starts swinging its way through the air. Wallace, you have your turn to take an action as all this is happening simultaneously.
So I see this is the moment, and I know I hadn't said this before, but I had said to Andy, this is the thing. I sheathe my rapier that I named Justice, and I get out my claymore from my bag that I named Retribution.
Yes.
And I take that in hand, and I charge at the Baron, and I'm assuming he's not just going to go down easily, but my main goal here in attacking him is to take him and potentially us both over the edge of the balcony.
Perfect. I will say, in this case, I will have you roll with fighter. And I'm going to give you an extra d6 because you're using an item that you are carrying with you the whole time. And I'm going to give you an extra d6 because this is plot.
Thank you. Let's see if I can roll any of them under a 5.
Because you're using a sword, you will get an extra d6 because you are a sword fighter.
You will not believe this, but in my 4 die rolls, I just rolled 3 6s and a 1.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Okay, so
You almost got the
Time
all
slows.
6s thing.
time slows, if all 6s, honestly, time slows for a moment as everyone springs into action. Anastasia rolls to a stop, picks up the pistol with practice accuracy and aims towards the Baron. At the same time, the Baron strikes his match. It catches on the fuse, but before it can go much further, the top hat spins through, severing the fuse, stunning the Baron, who drops the Cardinal. With that, Wallace Flynn, running through, ready to avenge your family at the farm that was destroyed all those years ago. You grab the Baron.
Rude about it. No.
You grab the Baron. We are on a balcony, it counts. You grab the Baron and take him off the edge of the balcony. People are screaming, all in slow motion. As you take him over the edge, you land just at the base of the balcony, and it hurts. And the Baron is on top of you. But you realize now that the sword is stuck right in the Baron's side. He pulls out a dagger as if he is to stab you, but before he gets a chance, there's a ricochet sound as the metal ceiling blocks the bullet that went stray from Anastasia's gun, and you're splattered with the blood and brains of the Baron, who collapses on top of you, unmoving.
Andy, that's fantastic.
I am trained in ricochet shot. It was never
It's
going
true.
to go at the Baron in the first place. It was going to ricochet where I knew he would land.
Yep, that's the part of your background that we didn't get into.
Not only
There's
acrobating
a
with
moment-
yourself, but with the bullets as well.
Before anything,
Alright.
I recollect my hat.
You recollect your hat, and you're there, and the Cardinal is there as well.
Right.
And he's out of breath, but he looks up to you with just utter thankfulness in his eyes, and he recognizes your faces, and he knows that he's been pulled out of the jaws of death by his very best friends. In the hours that follows, Leque has returned, thanked you for the great service you have done for Fort Francais, and the Secret Service itself. The three of you helped to mop up the last of the Baron's guards. Most of them fled, but for the Baron's most evil and most distinctive-looking henchmen, you did help Agent 00 Sept to mop up the last of the rather evilish-looking ones. There's one with like a scar on his face and a white cat, and he gets away, but that's fine. That's not your business.
I'm sure that won't come up later.
That won't come up later at all. But you have successfully done it. Thankfully, you were able to stop a dramatic destruction of public and private property in the center of the city. Even as we speak, demolition crews are helping to remove the explosives that have been spread throughout the castle, the Chateau de la Discothèque. And you have established yourselves as heroes. You are welcomed as heroes. Wallace, a memorial goes up where your family farm was. And it is named the Flynn Farming Union. And it helps other struggling farmers, protect them from evil land barons who wish to burn their farms down. Anastasia, you do eventually get letters from both people you danced with, both asking you to go out with them to dinner. Whether you do or not is up to you.
There's a montage of going out to dinner with both at different times.
At different times, of course. You do successfully have two very lovely dinners with two very lovely people. Bon Javert, it's important to note that there were a lot of explosive left over in that house. Just a lot of things in general. And although you are a fine, upstanding citizen, it was weird how all those explosives went missing, especially considering how much they were worth. Anyways, that's life.
It's weird how I afforded a new boat, too.
It's really weird. We have just a scene of you riding away on your boat. It's a big fancy sail yacht.
Of course.
And with that, you have all succeeded. Well done. You defeated the evil Baron Wasteland. And you've successfully rescued Cardinal Jacques Amical, Mr. Jack Nice Guy.
Hey.
And thank you all for playing.
Yes,
Thank you
for running.
That was so much fun.
That was a lot of fun. I think that wraps us up for today. If anybody would like to shill one last time before we depart, starting with Ray.
Yeah, I'm Ray. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Tankstein. I'm usually streaming on Sundays with various space-themed games. Yeah, check me out there.
Fantastic.
I'll say
Dom?
if anyone my website is JabroniTV. It has all the streams. It has upcoming content. And we're sponsored by Found Familiar. Code Jabroni. I didn't check that. I believe that's the code. If it's not, put it in post.
Absolutely. We'll fit all that in post, or we'll do a little extra bit. And Kratrina.
Yes.
I'm Kratrina. You can find me normally Wednesdays and Saturdays playing on HighShelfGaming, any podcast app that you prefer.
Yay. And again, my name is Andrew / you can call me Nefarious Obituary.
Do you have a plus?
Yes, sorry. My internet is bugging out here at the very end, but I am Andrew, Nefarious Obituary. You can find me on Twitch at Nefarious Obituary, all one word. I am a member of JabroniTV. Stop on by, go to JabroniTV so you can see all of the upcoming streams from all of our various fun Jabronis. I want to say special shout out to Kratrina. Thank you for joining us from HighShelfGaming. I'm looking forward to many, many long crossovers between our two little burgeoning media empires. Special thanks to Dom for jumping in there at the end as a special guest star. He is our wonderful producer. Without him, nothing would happen. Oh, I forgot to show myself. Nefarious Obituary. I stream sometimes. If I'm not streaming on my own channel, sometimes I stream with Ray Tankstein on his channel. Sometimes I stream with my boyfriend Finn at phantasmal_fox, also on Twitch. So you can find me there, and also I'm here with the Jabronis. Yes, we are sort of sponsored by Found Familiar Coffee, which is a really cool TTRPG-themed coffee company. They are a small business. Give them money. They are fantastic. Their coffee is delicious. I haven't had it. All my friends drink it. I'm ordering some practically as we speak. If you go to, I believe it is foundfamiliar.com/Jabroni? ? You can find it there. Something like that will take you there. Use code Jabroni at checkout to get 10% off your order. Get yourself some coffee. Treat yourself. It does a lot of great things. It's coffee. Who doesn't love it? So yeah, without further ado, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you some other time. Bye-bye.